Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. You also can lose your right to complain when you lose a fight. And to me, that's kind of what happened with Mark Magsayo. I think he kind of lost his right to complain in his fight with Brandon Figueroa. Now, I'm going to tell you this right here, right? I read a few articles. I'm going to try to bring them all together. And I'll just go ahead and provide my commentary as well as some of the things I pulled out of various articles. But let me tell y'all something, right? Mark Magsayo he's athletic. But he definitely, I don't think he really, after round 6 or 7, I don't think he was really prepared for what Brandon Figueroa is bringing to the table. And I will say this, although it may be an unpopular opinion, the referee, look, this is boxing, man. And I get it, Magsayo, like a couple people had put in the comments under, I think I did a short video, right? And they were talking about Magsayo's, his plan seemed to be come in the ring, be explosive, try to hurt Figueroa, and then when Figueroa closed the distance, because you know Figueroa is a pressure fighter, Magsayo's plan was to tie up Figueroa's arm, in particular the right hand, it seemed like, and then for Magsayo to work with his free right hand to try to nullify what Brandon Figueroa is bringing to the table as far as his offense, and that way would give Magsayo an opportunity to land some cheap shots. But when the referee took the first point, you could definitely see that Magsayo, he had to change his game plan because you could see he still wanted to hold, and to see somebody doing that instinctively, I almost feel that's how they trained in camp, was to get shots off, flurry, and then tie up Figueroa. And when he wasn't allowed to do that, you could see that he did not have a plan B. And that can affect the fighter when they lose a point like that in a close fight. But the second point, you can see Magsayo looking over at his corner like, man, what the hell's going on? And what I'm going to say is this. Anybody competing in any sport, if you have the referee who's getting involved and the referee who's really adversely affecting the outcome of the fight, for you, that's the type of mental stress now that you're dealing with in the fight, and it can really throw you off your game and almost make you not want to be there. But I will say Brandon Figueroa, I just think he just had too much ammunition. Okay? But now Brandon Figueroa, he seems to be calling out Rey Vargas. So I've been asked my opinion. Hey man, what do you think's gonna happen? Do you think Rey Vargas would beat Figueroa? Now what I'll say is this. Brandon Figueroa is defensively lacking. His whole thing is to just come forward, give you a hard-fought 12 rounds, and if he can't stop you from just through attrition, the whole thing with him is to cruise to a decision like he did against Mark Magsayo. But I'm going to tell you right now, even Brandon Figueroa, I like him because he was honest. And even he said, look, that fight was close. But he knew the 2 points that were taken from Magsayo played to his benefit. Now, Figueroa going in against Rey Vargas, to me what you have is 2 balls to the wall pressure fighters. And they both love to entertain. I can't recall Brandon Figueroa or Rey Vargas being in a boring fight. I can't recall ever seeing him be in any kind of boring fight. But one thing we do know, right, is Figueroa lost to Stephen Fulton. Fulton had a kind of boxer-puncher style, more boxer-mover, but it was a very competitive fight. Rey Vargas just lost to O'Shaquie Foster. Very similar situation. And that's good for Figueroa, and that's good for Rey Vargas, because Figueroa and Vargas are going to be right there coming at you. Now, I'm going to tell you this. For this guy Figueroa, who's standing 5'9", he kind of reminds me of Jarret Hurd. Figueroa reminds me of Joe Joyce. Figueroa reminds me of a Ricardo Mayorga type. He reminds me of a Ruslan Providnikov. And what I'm doing is painting a picture of the kind of fighters that come forward willing to take shots so they can get their shots off. But this is the thing, right? When you have a fighter like Figueroa who simply doesn't seem to care about what's coming back at him, right? More than likely, that can shorten their career. And let's just be real about it. That is exactly what the point of what Figueroa could be. You just never know when it's going to show up. Now, as far as Figueroa fighting Vargas, that's a close fight. And I know Figueroa is trying to claim a second divisional title. I get it. But he has to tighten up his defense. I don't care what anyone says. Matter of fact, I was hearing people saying that Figueroa would just simply outwork Vargas. Vargas just wouldn't have an answer. And to that I got to say, in a very respectful manner, to hold your horses. Don't take it to the stupid. All of a sudden we're acting like Rey Vargas can't fight. We're acting like Rey Vargas doesn't have stamina. We're acting like Rey Vargas doesn't have a chin. We're acting like Rey Vargas can't hurt Figueroa. Yo, man, they got to stop with this nonsense, man. But I'm going to go on record and I'm going to say, I honestly think that's genuinely a toss-up fight. But I think Vargas just has that style where he could win. They both let their hands go. I just don't see Brandon Figueroa going there and steamrolling Vargas. The styles are very similar. But what happens when you get two guys who come together in what would be a mashup, crash-up, right? Somebody's going to have to change their style. Both of them just can't come in there and stand in the center of the ring and just start slugging it out. Like that. That's just not going to happen. And if it does happen, someone's going to get the short end of the stick. That person that gets the short end of the stick, that's where you'll see they'll change up their plan, their strategy, and they'll go from being a Turogati's free swinger to being a guy who's more on his toes and moving around and being a boxer. And it will remind me of like how Miguel Cotto was when he fought Margarito. Cotto was standing there and exchanging, but realized that, those exchanges weren't really working out to his benefit. And then he boxed. And when he boxed beautifully. And I think when Brandon Figueroa and Rey Vargas get in the ring, that's what you're going to see. Someone is going to recognize that, all right, this doesn't feel good. So maybe I need to be boxing this guy. And that's all I'm getting at, man. So it is what it is. But when you just think about a Vargas, you think about Brandon Figueroa, right? Could you imagine a power puncher like the WBA champ who needs to have his tongue cut out for spitting on people, right? Mauricio Lara. Could you imagine Mauricio Lara touching Vargas, touching Figueroa? Even the fast-rising Cuban and double Olympic champ, Robesi Ramirez. Look, those guys can crack. But for Brandon Figueroa, he's going to have to figure out something, man. Let me tell you something. Once upon a time, what we saw this past weekend with fighters that have a similar style to Figueroa, and I would say even Rey Vargas, right? Jarret Hurd. Hey, man, some people at one point in time had him as a pound-for-pound player, man. You know? Like, that's not me making that up. Jarret Hurd, especially when he was unified, they had him as a pound-for-pound player. But, hey, he was a suffocating pressure fighter, just like Brandon Figueroa, and Rey Vargas can be that way too. And when you have the superior size, you have the conditioning, and you have the chin, you can really, wear opponents down. It's like you're getting sick with a damn virus, you know what I'm saying? And your body starts to fight it off. You become weak, and you're slow. You develop low energy. But when you look at Hurd, man, he scored some good wins over Harrison, Trout, Lara, but he took so much punishment to get those wins. And then when he ran into Julian Williams in 2019, remember Hurd wasn't even 30 years old. You saw what happened. It was like a huge decline. And you saw what happened when he returned this weekend. He looked horrible. So what I'm saying is, for Figueroa, just when is the Hurd syndrome going to show up? That's all I'm saying. When is it going to show up? So they're going to have to figure out something with Figueroa from just trying to be the aggressor, the pressure fighter, the guy who's willing to take 10 punches to land one. There's going to have to be a little bit of smart play here, in my opinion, if Figueroa is really looking to continue his boxing career and to have success, especially if he's going to be stepping up his competition and is facing much bigger punchers and much bigger guys physically and also guys with a bigger punch. But at the end of the day, guys like Figueroa, they're great for boxing. They're exciting. So it is what it is. But I just think Figueroa and Rey Vargas is a good fight. But for Figueroa, he's going to have to figure it out. You look at what happened to his brother Omar. Omar was same kind of style, man. Just out hustle you, out will you, take 10 punches to land his one or two. And then when you start to fatigue, he pours it on thick and just basically beats you down. But then you saw what happened to Omar Figueroa, where he was throwing up blood in the ring. He came back and Adrian Broner pulled out the fight and he fought somebody else, and it just didn't work out very well for Omar Figueroa. And I just think his brother Brandon, Brandon, could be going down that same rabbit hole. But that being said, Magsayo, look, man, I feel that referee didn't have to do him like that, but I understand he was grabbing the man's arm. But Magsayo and his team coming out complaining about the referee, about the fight, I could understand some frustration. But I'm going to tell you what really needs to happen for Magsayo. I don't know what's up with Pacquiao, Magsayo. Pacquiao had Michael Kontz, who did absolutely nothing, right? Magsayo has this guy in his corner. I guess he's an advisor, kind of like Michael Kontz, who does absolutely nothing over there running his mouth. Those are the worst people to have in your corner, trying to position you in a victim stance, like everything, like you were done so wrong, it was such an injustice. You know what I'm saying? If you want to sit there and talk to your man about, hey, maybe this could have gone a different direction. I could understand if they say, hey, those scorecards were wide and left it as that. But no, they didn't just talk about the scorecards. They was out there talking like Magsayo won the fight and focus on how to referee and why even fight if you know. It was just excuse after excuse. I would have shut up. I would have probably talked about the scores because to me those scores are crazy. Even Brandon Figueroa said the fight was close. But the way they did Magsayo on the scorecards, man, that was a little crazy to me. But at the end of the day, you know what? Take it out of the judge's hands. You lose your right to complain. You have an opportunity to get your opponent out the ring. You don't want to end up like Magsayo. then you need to knock the opponent out. But that being said, looks like Figueroa and Vargas is up next. Looking forward to that fight. But just when is the damage that Figueroa is taking, because he's not responsible defensively, when is it going to show up? Same way it showed up with Jarret Hurd, and he's not the same fighter. That being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. I am in the breeze.